guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Philip and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this amazing game of asteroids on Scratch. Now in this game you have a rocket that's shooting with bullets into the asteroids to destroy them. And also one cool thing about this game is that once you make the rocket go in one direction, it will keep going in that direction even if you turn it. So, and the second cool thing about this game is that you can go through the edges. So for example, if you go through the top edge, then you'll come out of the bottom edge. So here, let me show you. And also the same for the bottom edge, you appear on the top edge, and same for the left and right. Also, the third cool thing about this game is that if you hit an asteroid, it breaks into two smaller asteroids, and this is hard to do because the bullets and the asteroids are both clones. So it's very hard to do in Scratch, but I will still show you how to do it in this game. So let's get started. Click the create button, and the first thing we're going to do is make the rocket sprite. Now the rocket sprite is basically going to be a triangle, and it's going to be made out of 3 lines. So let's do this, paint, and we'll use lines. And then, so once you draw on your first line, then for your second line, you'll just select the first line, copy paste it, and then flip it so that we can get the exact same angle on the other side. And then we can put it on this side. You can use the arrow keys to make it like perfect here in the tip. And then for your third line, you can just connect this to this, and that should be good. And then next, you can select it and center it. Okay? Next, what we want to do is go to the code, and we're just going to, when green flag clicked, we'll just make the rocket turn. So for that, forever, using the keys. So forever, if, and then key pressed. So if, we'll start with the right arrow. If the right arrow is pressed, then we want it to turn this way. We want it to turn right. Let's try 10 degrees. Copy this. And key left arrow, we want it to turn the other way, also 10 degrees. Now let's test it and see if it works. And you can see it turns when I click the arrows. Now also what we want to do is we're just going to make it move when I click the up arrow. So if key up arrow pressed, then we'll want to just move 10 steps. Let's test it. And when I click the up arrow, it just moves 10 steps. Next, what we want to do is change the size, and instead of 100, we're going to make it 80 because it's pretty big, and now 80 seems good. So what we want to do next is if the key up arrow is pressed, we just want to give the rocket a push, and then it will continue going for a while. So for that, we will need a variable that will have a value and then will decrease. So name it speed for the sprite only, and at the beginning we'll set it to 0 because we don't want it to do anything. Just set speed to 0. And then to give it a push, if key up arrow pressed, we'll just set speed to 10. We'll give it a little push. And then in the forever, move speed steps, and then also we want to change speed by negative, let's try 1. Alright, let's test it. And if we press, it goes. But we can see that it gets to negative values, and once it gets to negative values, then it just goes backwards. So we'll make that not be able to happen by saying if the speed variable is less than 0, we'll set it to 0. So it'll just stop. So if speed is lower or less than 0, then we will set speed to 0. Alright, now let's test it. And we can see that by the time I'm done, it keeps on going for a while after I press it. So that's good. Next, we'll want to make it stop later. So right now, when you hit it, it stops still pretty like, it doesn't go too much. So we're just going to do this. Let's try negative, so negative 0.5. Let's test it. And better, but maybe 0.2, negative 0.2. And I think that's good. Now next, we can see that when I hit it, it always goes in the direction that I'm pointing. And that is because here, whenever I do move something steps, that means it's going to move those steps in the direction that it's pointing. And we don't want it to do this in the game. We want it to keep on going in the original direction, and you can turn without making the rocket like move into that direction. So for that, we'll make a variable. We'll call it original direction for this sprite only. Okay, and when the up arrow key is pressed, we will just set original direction to, and then we'll just set it to direction. And next, we are going to do a cool trick. And that cool trick is basically, instead of moving speed steps here, we will point in direction. So point in the original direction, our variable, original direction. And then after that, we'll want to point in the direction that it was pointing in before. So for that, we'll need another variable. Oops. We will call it current direction for the sprite only. Okay, and at the here we'll set current direction to direction, and then here after that we will point in direction. Oops, here it is. Point in direction, current direction. And we'll add this code right here. And let's test it. And we can see that even if I turn, it still goes in that same direction. So that is good. Next, we will want to make the rocket move out of the edges. And what I mean by this is if the rocket hits the right edge, it will go on the left edge, and so on. So for that, we will do if, and we'll start off with the x position being greater than 230. So if that happens, we're just going to set x to negative 230. Alrighty, let's duplicate that if and do the same if x position is smaller than negative 230. And then we'll set it to 230. Let's duplicate both of these ifs, and we're just going to do them for the y position. So that changes to y position. This will change to set y position. And if y position is greater than 170, then we'll set y to negative 170. And then if the y position is less than negative 170, we'll set y. Oh, sorry. We'll set y to negative 170. Alright, let's test it. And it should appear out of the edges. So let's try this edge first, and you can see that worked. This edge works. This edge does not work because, let me see. That's the edge where it's less than y position less than negative 170, then set y to, oh, sorry, this, we have to set it to 170. Now let's test it, and it works. That one and that one works as well. Next, we'll want to make the bullet, so we're just going to paint a sprite, and it's just going to be a line. And that looks good. Now let's center it. Oh, whoops. Okay, there you go. Now let's go to the code. And basically what we want to do is we want to go to the rocket, and we want to say if the space key is pressed, then we'll like shoot the bullet. So first we can go to here, and if key space pressed, then we need to tell the bullet to do something. So for that we will be using broadcast. So broadcast, and we'll name the message shoot. Alright, let's go to the bullet now. And when I receive shoot, we want it to, first of all, we want it to go to the sprite 1, that's what it's called, the rocket. And then we want it to point in the same direction. So for that, we have this cool block here. Oh, so point in direction, and then we can change this to sprite 1, and we can do point in direction and then direction of sprite 1. So that's pretty good. And then we can do a repeat until. So we want the bullet to keep going until it touches the edge. So that's why we're going to repeat until touching edge. And in that repeat, we'll just move 10 steps. That's good. And let's test it. And let's shoot it. And that looks good. Next, we'll want to be able to shoot multiple bullets. So for that, obviously, we'll use clones. So when I receive shoot, all we'll want to do is create a clone of myself. And then when I start as a clone, we'll do these things. Now at the end, we will also delete this clone. And we're also going to just, when green flag clicked, we'll just hide it. And then when I start as a clone, show. So now let's test it, and you should be able to shoot multiple bullets at once. And you can see that there are big bullets, but it's not really big bullets, it's just multiple bullets together, because if you click and hold, then it will broadcast a lot of messages. So we'll just want to, like, after broadcast something, we'll just wait a bit. So we'll wait. Let's turn off this. Wait. We can do 0.1 seconds. Let's test it. And you can see that the rocket stops when it shoots, and that's not really good. So to make it good, we're just going to move this if. We'll get a new forever, and we'll also get a new when green flag clicked. And this way, the wait won't affect any of the other code. So let's put it up here. And let's test it now. And you can see that it doesn't stop when it creates clones. And also, there's not one big bullet. There are just a lot of small ones. So next, we will want to upload the asteroid sprite. Now we have to upload it because Scratch does not have one already for us. So here I have it. Open. And there it is. So we'll just do when green flag clicked forever, and we'll just want it to move in a random direction. So for that, we'll need two variables. I'll name one speed x, the sprite only, and the other one speed y for the sprite only. At the beginning, we'll set them to a random value, and the random value will be a pick random from negative, let's do 2 to 2, and that'll be the same for both of them. So from negative 2 to 2. And then in the forever, change x and change y by speed y, and speed x. Alright, now, where did the asteroid go? At the beginning, let's just position in the middle, because it's somewhere else right now. And then we'll take it. Alright, so it's in the middle, and there you go. The first time I went that way, now it's going this way, so it goes in a random direction. Next, we will want to make the asteroid appear out of the edges as well. So like exactly how we did it for the rocket, if it goes on the top, then it'll appear on the bottom. So for that, we'll actually just go to this code and we'll copy it. We'll just drag it actually, we won't copy it. And let's just make sure that works. It should work. You can see it's going through the edge. Is it going to make it? Yeah. That's good. Next, we'll want to make more asteroids appear on the screen. So for that, we'll need clones. So when green flag click forever, create clone of myself, and we'll just wait 5 seconds. So every 5 seconds I'll create a clone. And when I start as a clone, do all of this. So let's test it. Oh, and then let's hide the original one and show when I start as a clone. Okay. So you can see we have one here. We have one asteroid there. And then we have a second asteroid, which got these values 0. That's why it's staying in one place. And we can see that it's working. Multiple asteroids are starting and they're going around. That's good. Next, we'll want to make sure that if the bullet is touching the asteroid, then we will break the asteroid into 2 smaller asteroids. So if touching bullet, which is named sprite 2 for me. So if touching sprite 2, then we will want to, first we want to make them smaller. So we'll change size by -30. We'll try that. And then we'll basically just create those 2 clones. So we'll do create clone 2 times. And then we'll delete that big clone. Let's test it and let's shoot it. And the first thing we see is when I shoot it, it goes straight to the middle of the screen. And that is because we put this go to x0 and y0 here whenever I start as a clone. But we don't need every clone to go there because you can create a clone here and we don't want these clones to go to 0, 0. So we only want the beginning big clones to go to 0, 0. So we'll just put it here. Alright, let's test it now. And that problem is fixed. Wait, whoops. That problem is fixed. Now we can see one more thing. When I shoot it, the asteroid, it breaks into 2 pieces, and then those 2 pieces can keep on touching the bullet, and then it keeps on creating clones. So that's not good because it keeps on creating a bunch of little clones. So to fix that, we're just going to put a wait before we create a clone so that we let the bullet have some time to go away. So wait 1 second, sounds good. Now let's test it and we shoot it. Oh, now a new big one appeared, so that's not good because we want to concentrate on just one. So we'll just modify that wait to 50 seconds for now and we'll change it back later. So once we shoot this, it stops, it waits, and that's not really good, but it's still fine because it only breaks into 2 pieces. And then the bullet keeps going and it doesn't keep breaking up. So that's good. Next, we'll want to make sure that if the asteroid is a certain size, we'll just delete it because it will be too like small, and yeah, that'll not be good. So put an if, not wait, don't put these in the if. Alright, so we'll put that if right there, and if size, there's actually a thing, size here, size is smaller than, I think 25, then we'll just delete the clone. Alright, now let's test that. Oh, and also, before I forget, let's do this wait back to 5 seconds instead of 50. Alright, Um, let's see. And yeah, if it reaches a certain size, then it will disappear. So that's good. Next, we'll want to change the weight, and instead of the weight, we're just gonna put a effect that will take some time, like the weight did, so that the bullet has time to go away. So repeat, and we're basically just gonna do change brightness effect by, let's do 5, and then the repeat can be 20. Repeat 20 times, change the brightness effect by 5. Alright, let's test it, and shoot that, and we can see that it completely disappears. So at the beginning, when a new sprite is created, a new clone is created, sorry, we'll set brightness effect to 0. Let's test it. Can shoot that, and oh, so a new one appeared. Let's change this here because it was pretty annoying because we were trying to look at one thing. So alright, let's shoot it. You can see that it turns into 2, and that is good but you can see that the bullet keeps on going, so it can shoot multiple asteroids at once. See, let's try to show. It shot both of them, and that's just not good. So change that by going to the bullet code, and basically we want the bullet to stop when it touches the asteroid. So basically it stops here when it's touching the edge. So here we're just going to do an OR, and then OR touching the asteroid. Let's test it, and you can see that it stops after touching just one. So that is good. Next, let's make sure we don't forget to put this back to 5. Next, we're just going to try to improve this effect. So we can see that when I shoot an asteroid, it disappears, but it still like stops when I hit it. See, it stops in that spot. So for that, we're just gonna make it move while the effect. So we want to get this code here, not all of this, but just this, the change x by speed x and the change y by speed y, because that's what makes it move. And we'll put that in the repeat as well. Now let's test it. We shoot it, and you can see that it keeps moving while the effect is being done. So that's good. Next, we can go ahead and hide all of these variables so that when we play this game, we will see the whole screen. And we can add a new variable. We'll call it score for all sprites. And we're just going to, at the beginning, set score to 0. Go to the asteroid, and we're just going to change score by 1 every time an asteroid completely gets destroyed. So right here. And we're just going to make score big and put it right here in the middle. Next, let's add a background. Now, I think I'm just going to use this star background, but the thing is, you can't really see the rocket. So we're going to go to the rocket costumes, and we're going to fill the lines in. We're going to fill the lines and the inside with white, so you can see it. And same with the bullet, because you also cannot see the bullet. Is that good? Yeah, that should be good. Next, let's make sure that if the rocket touches the asteroid, well, game over, right? So if touching asteroid, make sure you're in the rocket code. If touching asteroid, then we will say game over for 2 seconds. And stop all. Let's test it, and we can see that if I hit it, then it says game over, everything stops. Let's test it again just to make sure, and I see a problem. First of all, the rocket always starts where it last ended, and the asteroid always starts in 0, 0, and that's where I last ended, somewhere around 0, 0, where the asteroid can touch the rocket. That's not good. We'll want to make sure that every single time the rocket gets positioned, at the beginning, the rocket gets positioned at 0, 0. And the asteroids gets positioned in a corner. So not 0, 0 for this guy, but let's do 200 and 150, so the top right corner. And you can see that now that won't happen. Alright, next let's name these sprites. So we'll name this guy Bullet, and the other one we'll name Rocket. Name the project, Asteroids. Save it, and thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you next time for another game you can make on Scratch.